The Houston Astrodome, the final game. The Astros hope not. 2-0 Atlanta, though, as we go to the top of the 5th inning. Now the Aflac trivia question answer. Who holds the record? Which pitcher holds the record for the most strikeouts in a division series game? That was right here in game 1 of last year's division series. Kevin Brown against Randy Johnson, and it was Brown who defeated the big unit with 16 strikeouts and did not even pitch a complete game. Trevor Hoffman came on to pitch the 9th inning of that one. I mean, you'll never see a more dominating game than the one Brown pitched here last year.
Speaking of dominating, it looks like Shane Reynolds has got the feel back to that splitter. You set it up with the fastball as he did to Andrew Jones, but look at all these strikeouts. The pitching coach, Vern Rule, made a simple little adjustment going into game 1 of the divisional series with that split finger fastball of Reynolds. He said he was getting long with his arm. It started looking like an off-speed pitch more than his delivery looking like that of his fastball. Just shortened up the arm angle a little bit. He got the bite back to it, and it's been a good pitch for him today.
Curveball into the hole. Bogart's got a long throw to get Hernandez, and he does it. Bogart is having a sensational day out at shortstop, and with the bat he is 2 for 2 at the plate.
2 for 2 offensively, and he's taken 2 base hits away from the Braves defensively. Tremendous play in the last inning to get Andrew Jones. There he sets himself. Look at him come up with it. Now just stand right there. He's got the gun and the perfect throw to Bagwell.
And he has been a busy man out there. It is the 6th play that he has made in this game afield. John Smoltz has his 2nd hit. He led off the 3rd with a double over the head of Javier. Now he dunks a single in front of Javier. John Smoltz. Meanwhile, at Shea Stadium, they have completed 5 full innings. Arizona 1 and the Mets 1. That game being seen over on ESPN 2. Here on ESPN, Atlanta 2, Houston nothing. Shane Reynolds, it's not that he's not pitched well. He's pitched well enough to keep his club in the game, but for the Astros, where are the runs? In the splitter, Gerald Williams takes low. Williams led off the game with a double and scored the 1st run. Then he set up the 2nd run with a sacrifice bunt. The Braves have been playing little ball today. Fundamental baseball, getting a man on, moving him up, and then getting the clutch base hit or fly ball or whatever it takes.
And you know what? Bobby Cox has the ability to manage the game any way he wants. I look back at yesterday's game. They're down 2-0. It's the top of the 6th inning. He could have panicked. He could have. Tom Glavine was leading off the inning. He could have thrown a pinch hitter up there. He said, no, Glavine's day's not over. Glavine made an out. Next at Gerald Williams made an out, and then a base hit, a walk, and a 3-run homer, and he got the runs he needed.
2-1.
He could have panicked. He could have all of a sudden said, we got to do something. You know, that's not the way he manages. He didn't do that during the regular season. He's not going to change now.
John Smoltz, 4 shutout innings. Reynolds, 4 1/3, 2 runs, 6 hits allowed. The splitter high in the air to left field toward the corner, deep. Going back, he is Spiers on the warning track. Wow. Is the wind blowing out or what? That one got out there, and Gerald Williams was leaning out over the plate with a flick of the wrists. 2 down.
That's a strong man right there. Take a look at this. I mean, he's fooled right there. He basically hit it with just his left arm. Braves a little bit excited about it. Kept going and going and going, and like everything has been going against Houston. Bagwell hits that pop up down the right field line. It just stays in play. Brian Jordan able to make that catch. And this ball here, maybe the first break Houston's caught, just staying in the ballpark.
Now Brett Boone has flied to right, setting up a run. Then he singled home the 2nd run, and the sinker is a little bit low for ball 1. So Boone has had a real big day for Atlanta. I mean, if he does not move Williams from 2nd to 3rd in the 1st inning, the Braves may not have gotten that 1st run. Williams scored on the subsequent fly ball by Chipper Jones because he was at 3rd base. 1-1 to Boone. Then Boone just went ahead and singled home the run in the 3rd. And he's been playing excellent defense out there at 2nd base, as you would expect in this one. 1 ball, 1 strike. And 1 ball and 2 strikes over the outside corner.
Brett a little bit mad with himself right there. He likes to hit that fastball, but he was guessing split finger. He thought that Reynolds would try to get him out with that pitch instead of Reynolds painting that outside corner with 2 heaters. Now the splitter more likely to come.
Yeah, now if he was guessing it there, he's got to be guessing it now. Because that pitch, even if you're guessing it, it can be tough to hit. Got a fastball, base hit. Just muscled it off the fists. Stopping at second, John SMOLTZ, as Javier throws in behind him to Bogart covering. Well, the hits just keep on coming for Brett Boone. 8 hits in 17 at-bats in this series.
I'm wondering why there wasn't a split finger fastball coming there, but you could see Eusebio reach back across the plate. He wanted that fastball away. Reynolds just missed with his location there, and because of it, this game could be broke open right here with Chipper Jones at home plate.
45 home runs during the regular season. Today a sacrifice fly for an RBI and a pop out to short. He starts him with a splitter. 0-1. He kind of hung it up there though.
What if the National League MVP cannot put a hanging splitter in play? What if you'd have thrown a good one to Brett Boone? You might be sitting down right now on the top of your order starting to swing the bat rather than having to worry about getting this guy out.
And that's too low. Low? I mean, did he outsmart himself? I mean, why wouldn't he? I mean, it's not really hittable when it's well thrown. I mean, not easily hittable anyway.
Well, remember, he said before the game he's lost that pitch. He didn't have it anymore.
Yeah. I've only seen him throwing it. That's a good point. He's only thrown probably 9 or 10 good ones today. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's SMOLTZ who singled at second base. Boone who singled at first base. Ready to go in anything with 2 down. Chipper Jones trying to move him. Chipper with 2 hits in 10 at-bats for the series. Plus 5 walks. Splitter. Strike. That pitch.
Why swing at something that you most of the time can't hit?
And I think he was hopeful it would dip out of the strike zone. Tries it again. There's Biggio. And the inning is over. The Braves lead 2. The innings now starting to run out on the Astros. The top of the order, Biggio, Javier, and Bagwell. John Miller and Rick Sutcliffe from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Atlanta Braves hoping to stage a celebration after this one, and they are leading 2-0. If they can hold that lead, they will have won the division series. Walt Weiss now in at shortstop for defensive purposes. I think the reason is obvious. Here's what happened yesterday. This was a game-saving play with the bases loaded in the 10th inning. Caminetti out at the plate on a ball hit by Eusebio. Weiss is one of the outstanding defensive shortstops in the game. Craig Biggio, top of the order for the Astros.
Everything about that play was amazing. To get to the ball, to knock it down, and then to off balance make a throw that was catchable. You got Caminetti hustling down the line, the crowd going crazy. He might be the MVP of this series right now on one play.
Well, if he doesn't make that play, then the Braves are playing for survival today. I mean, that saved the game at that moment. Had it gotten past him, had he thrown wildly to home plate, the winning run would have scored. 1-2 to Biggio. Biggio is 0 for 2 in this game. 2 hits in 16 at-bats in the series. They get 2 for 17, the high fastball. And I don't know if I've ever heard that in the Astrodome before. A few boos for Craig Biggio.
It sounded like there were actually some boos for Larry Dierker when he was announced before the game. Just frustration right now, not only on the part of the fans, but on the players of the Braves and their manager as well.
Meanwhile, in New York, last of the 6th inning, Arizona 1, the Mets 1. Each team has hit a solo homer in that game. It's over on ESPN2. Stan Javier takes a strike. He is singled down the left field line and then grounded out to third. The Astros had shots to score in the first 2 innings of this game, but were unable to get that one big hit. They left the bases loaded in the first, and then Javier left runners at first and third with his ground out in the second. Javier 1 for 2. Jeff Bagwell on deck. Well, Craig Biggio, the man who ignites this offense at the top of the order, the man who gets on base, he steals bases, gets himself into scoring position, shut down in this series as Javier is called out on strikes for out number 2. Bagwell will come up, but with the bases empty. John Smoltz is starting to make it look easy.
Yeah, back in August of 1987, Atlanta Braves made a trade with the Detroit Tigers for Doyle Alexander for John Smoltz. Smoltz was in Double-A with Detroit, 4-10 with a 5.68 ERA. Somebody obviously saw something.
Slider pulled foul. Well, Alexander helped the Tigers win a division title that year, but Smoltz has helped Atlanta for more than a whole decade.
Well, you feel sorry for Alexander's name always being brought up like that. How about Larry Anderson? Back in '90, he was traded for Bagwell.
Jeff Bagwell in the Red Sox farm system, and Larry Anderson now a broadcaster with the Philadelphia Phillies. Sox thought they needed some bullpen help for the stretch run, and Bagwell went to Houston to become a star.
Bagwell was in Double-A that year, 480 at bats. He only hit 4 home runs. Who would have ever thought it?
Not the Red Sox. Just missing with a fastball. 1 and 2. Well, Smoltz had those 2 troubling innings to start the game. He got through them, but these last 3 innings he is starting to cut them down. It's off the outside. 2 and 2. He got Bagwell, Everett, and Caminetti, the 3 power hitters in the Astros lineup, in succession in the 3rd inning. And now he struck out Biggio and Javier in front of Bagwell here. 2 and 2 to Bagwell. The slider. Whoa, man. Smoltz thought he had him. He thought he had him a couple of times in this sequence.
Yeah, the Muth might have got fooled a little bit right there. Normally that breaking ball of Smoltz would have gone down. It doesn't go down much anymore. It just kind of flattens out. Smoltz thought he had strike 3 there.
So Bagwell may have gotten a break. That one into right center. Easy play for Jordan. And there is frustration from the Astros fans. 2-0 going to the 6th.
ESPN's coverage of the divisional playoffs is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes. For the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-359-BOOT. And by Hyundai. Every Hyundai is backed by America's best warranty with 10 years powertrain coverage.
The Houston Astrodome. Game 4. And the Atlanta Braves maintain a 2-0 lead as we move to the 6th inning. Brian Jordan, who has certainly been their MVP of this series up till now. Yesterday, he did something that had never been done in a postseason game in Major League history. Never before had anybody driven in more than 4 runs in a game where those were his team's only runs. Jordan drove in all 5 of the Braves runs yesterday. Back at Reynolds, off his glove. The pickup by Caminetti, but no play on the speedy Jordan, and Jordan has his 2nd hit of this game and his 8th hit of this series.
When they talk about offensive numbers, a lot of times, John, they'll take the number of RBIs and the number of runs scored. You add that together, subtract the home runs because you don't want to count them twice. Speaking of home runs, there's a 3-run homer yesterday, but you come up with a pretty good idea of how productive a guy is offensively. If that number is 150, you've got a pretty good offensive player. Well, doing the math, you add up Chipper Jones, he comes up to 181. That's a good offensive player. You do the math on Brian Jordan this year, 192. So he has provided more offense for the Braves than Chipper Jones has.
It's actual runs produced for a ball club in a season.
His average not quite as high as Chipper's was.
Chris Holt, a right-hander, up in the Astros bullpen. 8 hits now for Atlanta. Ryan Klesko, the hitter. Vern Rule, having conversed with Shane Reynolds on the mound, goes back to the dugout. And they're getting up to that part of the game where they begin to feel like Shane Reynolds might be about to hit the wall, especially on only 3 days of rest. Ball 1 to Klesko on the outside, and they're at the part of the game now where they cannot afford to fall any further behind. Not with John Smoltz just breezing along now. 2-0 Atlanta in the top of the 6th. Klesko has walked and struck out today. A splitter and a turf hit into right field, and Jordan's going to go for third. He stopped for a moment and then accelerated, and he may have digged Javier into believing that he wasn't going to go. So he makes it in there easily.
John, you're exactly right, and there's no reason to be deked in that situation. Javier's only got one responsibility: come in, catch the ball, and make an accurate throw to third. Don't guess whether the guy's going to go or whether he's not going. You do your job. That doesn't matter. Look at him right here. He kind of hesitates. Come get the ball and make the throw. Don't hesitate. That's a big, big run right there in a situation that shouldn't have happened. Jordan was going to stay there.
So the base hit, the big bouncer on the turf by Klesko, is the end of Shane Reynolds. 2 men on, nobody out. Andrew Jones coming up. Holt coming in. And here we are now, and the Astros need some heroic measures here from Chris Holt. Runners at first and third, nobody out. The dangerous Andrew Jones at the plate. Andrew is 0 for 2 in this game. The middle infield is in double play depth. They're willing to give up this third run to get the double play. The bloop over the head of Bogart. That's a base hit into left center field. Coming in to score is Jordan, and then the ball gets through. Klesko goes to third, and into second, Andrew Jones. And then the throw gets through even there, and the fans are angry. It is 3-0 Atlanta, and the Braves suddenly starting to, or the Astros starting to crumble.
Well, the reason Darryl Ward wasn't in the lineup this afternoon was because they wanted better defense. Well, there's a little lapse on the right fielder who was playing in a position Ward could have played. They got the runner to third. Now right here, the left fielder just takes his eyes off the ball for a second. He didn't know if Klesko was going to third or not. Could have stayed on the baseball, fielded it, and thrown to third, and not had to have guessed.
Holt is coming in here and has gotten everything high in the strike zone. Eddie Perez swinging at one that goes back out of play. Perez 1 for 2 in the game. Now the infield is in. Klesko at third, Andrew Jones at second. An error charged to Billy Spiers there for allowing the runners to advance an extra base. This would be a double play situation with runners at first and second. Now it is a very dire situation.
You mentioned everything Chris Holt throwing being up a little bit. He had a little bit of a problem with that during the season this year. 5 and 13. The opposition batting average over 300 against him.
He had a 4.66 ERA. He did make 2 starts against Atlanta and pitched pretty well in both of those games. Well enough to have won both of them, but ended up with no decision. He was also the man that seemed to pitch whenever the Astros did not score. Off the fist's foul over toward Bobby Cox in the Atlanta dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scott Ellerton up in the bullpen, the young right-hander of the Astros. 3-0 Atlanta. Shane Reynolds went 5 innings plus so far, charged with 3 runs, 9 hits. The runner at third, Klesko, belongs to him. Andrew Jones at second. Everything going wrong for the Astros now. 1-2 the count. Right back and off Holt and through the middle. Klesko scores. Andrew Jones around third, and he scores. It is 5-0. Meanwhile, as the Braves start to break it open, here's an update with Bill Pito.
All right, John, Mets and D-backs over on ESPN2. 1-1 game in the 6th inning. Benny Agbayani to start today in right field because Brian Anderson's a lefty. Comes through to the wall. That scores Ricky Henderson. And the Mets threatening second and third right now with 2 outs, still batting the bottom of the 6th.
And later today at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox, Game 3, the Cleveland Indians and the Boston Red Sox from Fenway Park. And then at 7:30 tonight Eastern time, 6:30 Central, Game 3, the Yankees and the Rangers. Roger Clemens on the mound against Esteban Loaiza for the ballpark in Arlington. Everything could be determined today in these division playoffs. Walt Weiss up for the first time, hitting a foul. 4 straight hits in this inning for Atlanta. 1 ball, 1 strike. Remember, SportsCenter will have coverage of everything going on in these division series playoffs today, as just great coverage last night when I got back to the hotel of this ball game. Real in-depth, every aspect of the game, and there were like 20 different things to examine in that ball game that could have turned it around. Big plays, kind of subtle plays, and they had it all with the interviews and the reactions and the analysis on SportsCenter. 2-2 to Weiss. Another base hit. Yeah, they are finding the holes now. So Chris Holt is not able to provide what they had hoped for. He has come on out of the bullpen, faced 3 hitters, and 3 in a row have gotten base hits against him. None has hit the ball hard. We're talking about a bloop, a near comebacker, and now a bounding ball.
Really, the only mistake that he's made was not fielding that comebacker. It's a play he could have made. He didn't. And it looks like it's going to be the end of the afternoon for him.
John Smoltz coming up. John Smoltz has been a big hitter today with 2 for 2, a single and a double. And Larry Durker is going to bring in Scott Ellerton to face him when we come back.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
Atlanta 7, the Astros nothing. For Atlanta, at stake, a move to the next round of the playoffs as Tony Eusebio hits one deep to left field. It is gone. The first run of the game for the Astros, a Eusebio home run. It is 7-1 now, Atlanta. So Eusebio scores here. Here's an update now from New York with Bill Pito.
All right, John, on ESPN2, the play at the plate between the Mets and D-backs that you were talking about. Matt Williams base hit to left. Melvin Moore out there for his defense in place of Ricky Henderson. Jay Bell trying to put the D-backs up 2. He's out. So it remains 3-2 D-backs. Mets now up bottom 8.
Close play there at the plate in New York, and a big, big call. It went the Mets' way. I don't think Jay Bell was very happy about that call. And it was Todd Pratt who made the tag of the plate rather than Mike Piazza, who's missing from the lineup again with that thumb injury. Today it looks like they're missing his bat from that lineup a little more than last night when they put 9 runs up. 1-2 the count to Tim Bogar, who's had 2 hits against John Smoltz, 2 of the 4 Astros hits. That slider to center field, going back. Andrew Jones still going back, and he gets there. Center field at the Astrodome is still and always was the place where long fly balls go to die.
Particularly when you got a guy like this playing center field for you. Maddox says that on every day, Andrew Jones saves him 1 run a ball game defensively. On a good day for him, he'll save him 3 or 4. And that ball's almost to the warning track. He gets there easily.
Now Russ Johnson will come up as a pinch hitter for the Astros. Andrew Jones, a great young talent, still learning the game for Atlanta. Here's a guy that the Astros think a lot of, Russ Johnson out of LSU. Ken Caminiti was pointing him out before the game. He says Russ Johnson is one of the great undiscovered secrets in the game. He could be a budding all-star second baseman for a lot of teams right now, he's saying. He's got a lot of pop in his bat if he got a chance to play every day. you might have one of the top young players in the game. But on this ball club, the problem is where to play him. He had a big hit yesterday. His pinch hit double in the 7th started a rally for the Astros that tied that ball game. Both teams' bullpens are busy. Johnson batting for Scott Ellerton. That is called a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. There is Trevor Miller in the Astros bullpen getting ready for the 8th inning. Slider just off the corner. 3-2. 90 pitches thrown by John Smoltz today. He's in the 7th. 3-2 to Russ Johnson. And he walks. First walk since the 1st inning allowed by Smoltz. In the Atlanta bullpen getting ready here. Bobby Cox will keep a close eye on him. He's given up a home run in this inning.
Well, the offense of the Houston Astros could not do anything to get this crowd on their feet and going this afternoon, so they had to wait till the 7th inning stretch. They played some music. Everybody got up. They got up again on the home run by EUSEBIO. They're hoping to do it more than that.
Big BIGGIO. The man who's just on base all the time, igniting the offense during the regular year. But in this series, BIGGIO, 2 hits, 17 at-bats, and only 1 walk. He's only been on base 3 times the entire series.
He scored 628 runs during the regular season the last 5 years. Amazing. And yet he's only been able to score 1 in this series.
It's a strike on the outside. 2-1. He had 56 doubles this year. One of the highest doubles totals in decades in the game. Called a strike on the outside. 2-2 to BIGGIO.
Borderline, possibly low. The only reason it's even considered a strike is the great hands of Perez back there behind home plate. Instead of taking that ball down even further, he holds it right there, and at time will elevate it for a better look.
Too short. Could be 2. There's 1 back to first. Not in time. Well, nearly an amazing double play turn there by Brett Boone at second base.
Almost like that baseball was a hot potato. It did not stay in Boone's glove very long, nor was it in the hands of the shortstop, Walt Weiss. They knew they couldn't. Look how quick it's out of there. Boom, get rid of it. Gone. That's all I can do. If it ain't enough, well, we'll have to let one more guy come to home plate.
Well, look at that feed right there. Stan Javier, 2 down. BIGGIO aboard, and with a hole, there goes Weiss. Back to Boone. Weiss is just the wrong guy to hit it to. Top of the 8th inning coming up. 7-1 Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves 7, the Houston Astros 1. In what could be the deciding game of this National League Division Series. Here's the New Era Sports Caps in-game box score for Atlanta. A lot of hits up at the top of the order. 2 more hits for Brian Jordan, and quite a few hits at the bottom of the order. Just a lot of hits, period, for the Braves, including 2 doubles and 12 singles. They put 7 runs on the board today without benefit of a single. Big fly. Trevor Miller on to pitch now for the Astros, and John Smoltz is the hitter. He's had a double and scored a run. He has had a single, and he's had a sacrifice bunt that helped set up a couple of runs. Trevor Miller, the 4th Astros pitcher of the game. 1 ball, 1 strike. 7-1. Atlanta is leading. The Astrodome. 1965 it opened. And there were some critics because this was the first dome. There'd never been a dome built in the world over a structure this big. That's a swing and a miss. And some critics and even some engineers warned that the roof might collapse if ever there was a crowd of 50,000 fans who maxed out, you know, with a huge roar. You know, like they thought it would come tumbling down like the walls of Jericho in the Bible. And so, duly warned, when they had the opening night game and the huge crowd was gathering, a few of the Houston players at that time decided to have their wives and kids stay home just in case they were right. But obviously they've rocked this place many times over the years, and the dome has been able to stand all the while.
Well, the one nice thing about it is it gets so hot down here during the summer, it makes it a lot more comfortable to play. 162 game season, 81 home games in conditions like this.
And so hot, so humid, so oppressive. The SMOLTZ was called out on strikes, and he had a quick word for Dana DeMuth on that call. He's had quite a few words with Dana DeMuth today.
I don't know why he's arguing right now. I've seen a lot of guys in this situation that don't even bother swinging the bat. They're just happy to get back. They know their job is to get 6 more outs as a pitcher. Not worry about getting on base there, but SMOLTZ the ultimate competitor.
Well, when they used to hit a home run, the scoreboard of the Astrodome went nuts. And they had the grounds crew dressed like men from outer space.
And back then, to hit a home run in this ballpark, you had to hit it. Look at that.
It was 340 to the foul poles down the left and right field lines, and you had to hit it up into the orange seats out there to get a home run, and that was a blast. Gerald Williams, 2 more hits, a run scored, 2 RBIs in this one. Now you see those seats above the advertising panels up there. You had to hit it up there, and it was 340 feet to get it there. So it was a real tough place to hit a home run in those days, and all the more amazing that Jimmy Wynn, and I think Jimmy Wynn was 5 feet 7 inches tall, but Jimmy Wynn hit 37 home runs for the Astros in 1967. Brian Jordan, his home run yesterday would have been a home run in the old configuration. I mean, that was just a shot. Look out, the bat heading down the left field line. And a foul ball by Jordan. 2-2 the count.
I remember right, didn't Jimmy Wynn hit a couple of balls into the upper deck down that left field line?
Yes, he did. In fact, our Mark Payton, our director, who practically grew up in the Astrodome, he hit it up there. That's quite a shot. Didn't hit him up there every day. Meanwhile, the Arizona Diamondbacks made a defensive change in the 8th inning, and it may have worked against them in New York. That's a catch at third base. Nice play by Ken Caminetti on the bloop by Gerald Williams. 2 down. 2 down, nobody on him. Brett Boone coming up. Boone has had 2 hits today, 2 for 4. It was so hot, so humid. I mean, it is. But they used to play outdoors here, the old Colt 45 Stadium, in what is now the parking lot of the Astrodome. And Rusty Staub recalls when and Staub was 19 years old at the time. They were in the middle of the summer playing the Cubs, you know, and Ernie Banks, the original, hey, let's play 2. And Staub recalled that they played 2 at the old ballpark outdoors, and they had to carry Ernie off the field on a stretcher. So Boone is aboard. 15th hit for Atlanta, the 13th single.
That's hard for me to imagine. I've never seen Ernie Banks when he wasn't smiling, but I don't imagine he had much of a smile on his face then.
Well, they had the sweltering humidity, and they had mosquitoes. And I'm talking Texas-sized mosquitoes, Rick. So Mark Payton, who lived down here, says that those mosquitoes were old enough to vote. We're talking about mosquitoes who were considered Texas natives. Some had fought at the Alamo.
Everything's bigger here in Texas, huh?
It's Texas. It's big. So an indoor stadium was more than just something they thought would be neat.
They said you could set your hat down in the outfield and it would move because of the mosquitoes coming up out of the grass. I didn't know if I believed that. I'm starting to now.
Chipper Jones, the hitter. Chipper is 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly today. He drove in the first run of the game. Atlanta is leading right now 7-1. Meanwhile, in New York, after a dropped fly ball by Tony Womack, who had been moved from shortstop to right field. Hanley Frias took over at shortstop. Apparently a move for defense, but Womack dropped a fly ball with a runner on. And now a sacrifice fly has been hit, and the Mets have tied that game with Arizona at 3 in the last of the 8th inning. Roger Cedeno drove in the tying run.
Still no activity down in the Atlanta Braves bullpen. John Smoltz led off here in the top of the 8th inning. Must have told Bobby Cox he wanted more.
Chipper Jones down on strikes after the wild pitch, moving Boone over. Boone is stranded. 7-1 here after 7.5. Here's Bill Pino with an update.
All right, John, you were talking about it. John Olerud, the batter, no out in the 8th. Mets down 1, runner on first. Tony Womack started the game at short, moved to right. That's where he normally plays. Looky here. Looky there, drops it. Runners then go to second and third. Roger Cedeno with a sac fly, tied up at 3. Back to Houston after this.
Jeff Bagwell takes ball 1 against John Smoltz, and could this be Jeff Bagwell's farewell to the Astrodome? That was not the plan, not today. Base hit. 3 infielders to the left side of second, and Jeff Bagwell gets his first hit of the day and his second hit of the series in 12 at-bats. Here is the New Era Sports Caps in-game box score. A lot of offers for the Astros today. They've only had 5 hits. None by Biggio. None by Everett. None by Caminetti. The only run, a Tony Eusebio home run in the 7th inning against John Smoltz. The Atlanta bullpen gets busy as Everett takes a strike. Carl Everett is 0 for 3 in this game, and he is 2 for 14 in the series after his breakout season. Terry Mulholland, the left-hander. Kevin McGlinchy, the right-hander, up in the bullpen. And quickly, Smoltz is ahead. No balls and 2 strikes.
If you wonder why Bobby Cox did not take John Smoltz out after the 7 innings of work, thinking that he had done his job, most of the time Bobby Cox will leave that decision to his starters. They know more about how they feel than I would by looking in at them. I go up, I check with them. Are you done? You want more? And for the most part, when they're honest with him, it has always seemed to work.
So in 102 pitches in this one, that hit him. So Everett hit by the pitch. That puts 2 men on with nobody out. This is the first time in the game that they've had 2 men on with nobody out all day.
I'll tell you what, for the best of me, I can't understand what Carl Everett is mad about. He should thank John Smoltz right there.
They needed base running.
Absolutely. Hadn't been on base all day.
Ken Caminetti. He smashes one high and deep to center field. Jones racing back all the way back to the wall. This one is off the wall. No, it's a home run. It came back, but it cleared the wall. A 3-run homer for Caminetti, and suddenly there is hope at the Astrodome. 7-4 Atlanta.
Pretty good fastball down and away. It was right where Eddie Perez wanted it. You could see the glove even go down and out of the zone. But Ken Caminetti is healthy. He takes this ball to the biggest part of the ballpark, and Houston's back in it.
Which is exactly why Everett should have been happy about getting on base. Mulholland coming in. We'll be right back. There's the veteran left-hander Terry Mulholland, who started the season with the Chicago Cubs. On to face Bill Spiers. Very high for ball 1. Mulholland used as both a starter and a reliever by both the Cubs and the Braves. I'm kind of surprised that Spiers is still in there, because they have 3 right-handed hitters to whom they could go, including the veteran Derek Bell, who's had a lot of success against Mulholland in the past. course, he left Spiers up there yesterday against left-hander Mike Renlinger. And Spiers drove in the tying run with a base hit in the 7th. John Rocker, yesterday's winning pitcher. He got out of that incredible jam in the 10th inning. And he's back up, along with right-hander Kevin McGlinchey. And it is 3-1 to Bill Spiers. Tony Eusebio, a right-handed hitter, is on deck.
John Rocker getting up down in the bullpen. They'll take a close look at him and his flexibility before they decide whether they're going to bring him in or not. If it takes him a long time to get up, they're not going to take a chance on his future by hurting his arm, bringing him back here. They'll try to close it out with somebody else. Bobby Cox knows the status of Billy Wagner.
Left center field, Andrew Jones. And that is the first out of the 8th inning. 3 runs in. The once 7-0 lead of the Braves is now 7-4.
John, I'm right there with you. I'm really surprised not to have seen Derek Bell in that situation. Larry Dierker and the Houston Astros are running out of outs. They've got 5 outs left. They got to figure out how to get at least 3 runs. Derek Bell with great numbers off Mulholland.
Eusebio, who homered his last time, and quickly it is 0-1. One ball, 1 strike. Well, the Astros have not exactly gotten themselves right back into the game, but they've gotten themselves into a position where they can start thinking about getting a couple of men on and then getting back into the game. 7-4. That is a base hit, left center field, into the alleyway. Cut off by Gerald Williams.
John, we talked about the defense of Walt Weiss yesterday, the range of Brett Boone, that also of Chipper Jones. One thing that sometimes goes unnoticed with the defense and the outfield of the Atlanta Braves, they got 3 guys that could play center field. That's normally the guy that has the most range. Look at Williams over there cutting that gap off. What could have been an extra base hit stays as a single and keeps the double play in order.
Tim Bogart just off the outside. Close pitch. Bogart, in his first postseason start, has had 2 hits in 3 at-bats. And he has had great success with Mulholland over the years. Bogart, 6 hits in 11 career at-bats against his left-hander, a .545 average. 1 out, 1 on in the 8th inning. Derek Bell has come out on deck. Left center field, racing back, Gerald Williams still going back, and it's going to be over his head, up against the wall. Eusebio lumbering around third, heading home, and he scores standing up. A double for Bogart. Suddenly, they are back in the game.
Jeff Bagwell, who started this rally here in the bottom of the 8th inning, said, "This is our house. We don't want it to end here. We want to go to Atlanta. We're packed. The plane's ready. All we got to do is win this ball game." Houston's making a run at it.
Now Bobby Cox, with Derek Bell having been officially entered into the game, will bring in his right-hander, Kevin McGlinchey. McGlinchey, the only pitcher who did not work yesterday out of the bullpen in the 12-inning game.
Diamondbacks Mets tied up at 3 in the 8th with 2 out. Darryl Hamilton with the go-ahead run on second. To left, fair foul. Charlie Williams called it foul, and you know what? It looked like it was the right call. Cookie Rojas thought it was fair. He's the Mets' third base coach. He thought it was fair, and he was thrown out. He bumped Williams. Bobby Valentine now coaching third.
Well, that is that's just not done. 7-5 to score here, coming back from a 7-0 deficit against the Atlanta Braves. Anytime, April, May, October, that's not done. Coming up next on ESPN at 4 o'clock Eastern, the PGA Michelob Championship at Kingsmill. Third round coverage. Stay tuned for that. Kevin McGlinchey, young right-hander, a native of New England, and he had a very strong year for the Braves. But he comes on in a tight spot, the spot that Bobby Cox did not want to use him in yesterday. There's Bogar at second base, and Darryl Ward, after Bell had been entered in as the pinch hitter for Miller. McGlinchey called into the game, and then Darryl Ward comes up, the very powerful left-handed swinger who homered against Greg Maddux in game 1 of this series, which proved to be the winning hit. He is the possible tying run here at the Astrodome. And this crowd, which has been quiet much of the day and unhappy the rest of the day with its own ball club, is now on its feet. Strike one to Darryl Ward. A couple of young players here, 2 rookies in a huge game. The Astros, who were down 7-0, are now down only 7-5. Biggio is on deck. 1 out. Now to play off to the left. Back to him with a slider. McGlinchey got a pretty good arm.
He's got a real good arm. He's got a terrific fastball, a slider, but his output for the most part is a split-fingered fastball. His velocity will reach 97, 98 from time to time.
So we'll watch for that splitter, and maybe he'll use it here. 0-2 the count to Darryl Ward.
There it was right there. You could see the grip in the glove. He'll spread those fingers. He'll try to keep the same arm motion as that of the fastball. Good movement on that splitter, down and away from Ward. Ward able to lay off of it. These two guys are going to face each other a lot in the next 10 years.
Oh, man, he came right after him with a fastball, and Ward fouled it back. Is that his pitch to hit?
He's had a couple of good fastballs to hit. Look at this right here, man. Look how quiet that front foot is. Look where the head is.
1-2. Darryl Ward, the son of longtime major leaguer Gary Ward. Bogar at second. 1 out. That might have been the splitter. Fielded cleanly by Hunter. He was over hugging that foul line. Over to third. Bogar with 2 down. Here's another update from Bill Pito.
All right, John, we showed you the fair or foul controversy. Later on, bases loaded, 2 out. Ray Ordonez, the batter, against Matt Manti, still tied at 3. And he struck him out. So we are still tied at 3. We now head to the top of the 9th.
Here, the Astros are dreaming of being tied. They have trailed since the 3rd batter of the game. And at one point, they trailed 7-0. Now, with a 4-run rally here in the 8th, they have made it 7-5. And Craig Biggio is coming up. They've got John Rocker up in the bullpen, along with Mike Remlinger, 2 left-handers out there. And Bobby Cox is going to bring in, it looks like, John Rocker. So Rocker, who worked 2 innings yesterday, will come on with a runner at third, and Biggio at the plate. We'll be right back. Game 4 of the National League Division Series, the Braves and Astros. It looked like a walk in the park, or better said, a walk in the dome for the Braves. But now, with a 4-run 8th, Bobby Cox has been forced to use his star closer, young John Rocker, who worked 2 difficult innings yesterday. I mean, Rick, he came out with the bases loaded and nobody out. He threw 27 pitches only in those 2 innings, but most of them were as high pressure a pitch as he has ever made in his career. There is Keith Lockhart now in at second base. They made a double switch. Boone is out.
And every one of those pitches yesterday was maximum effort on the part of John Rocker. That takes a lot out of you. They kept a close eye on him down in the bullpen warming up. They watched him play catch before the game today during batting practice. His range of motion must have been what it normally is. 27 pitches, not a whole lot. But let's not forget, we're just in the bottom of the 8th inning here. He's going to have to come back for the 9th as well.
So McGlinchey got the man out that he was called upon to get out. Now Rocker. Craig Biggio. He is 0 for 4 in this game. He is 2 for 18 in this series. He is looking for redemption. Fastball called a strike down at the knees. Biggio hit 16 home runs during the regular season. He's not your typical leadoff man. 16 homers and 56 doubles. They take either one right here. Just off the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Biggio is hitless in his career against Rocker all of this year. He is 0 for 4. Yesterday he clobbered a ball, a liner, but right to Brett Boone at second base against Rocker in the 11th inning. There is Bogar at third base. Biggio trying to pick him up. The slider. 1-2. The Braves have that exaggerated infield defense. The defense all spread out, guarding the foul lines against the extra base hit. Jones deep at third, right there on the left side of the screen, and right along the line. Hunter well over toward the line, deep at first. So Biggio behind on the count, 1-2, and Rocker's thrown some great pitches since coming in. Fastball hit hard but fouled into the camera position beyond the Astros dugout down the right field line.
Normally the way it happens when you're struggling, when you do hit the ball, you hit it hard, it's foul. You hit it hard, it's at somebody. And when you take a pitch, it's a strike. When you swing, it's something that's out of the zone.
Biggio has not driven in a run in this series. Very high. Trying to get a little extra on that fastball.
He did. You know what? He's shown me that he's got the ability not only to throw hard and he's talented, but he's got the ability to pitch as well. Biggio chased a breaking ball for the second strike. Rocker knew in the back of his mind he had to be thinking of that breaking ball. If you throw a breaking ball for a strike, it's going to start out up like that. Rocker tried to get him to chase that high fastball.
2-2. The slider for the strikeout. So John Rocker, for whom this inning may have been child's play after getting out of a bases loaded, nobody out situation yesterday in the 10th with the game on the line. This time merely a runner at third. He got through it. 7-5 Atlanta. I don't know what this thing says here. Braves 7, Astros 5 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. And Atlanta now, suddenly, after losing much of a 7-run lead, needs more, perhaps. Coming up right after the ball game on ESPN, the PGA Michelob Championship at Kingsmill. It'll be third-round coverage. Mike Weir and Tom Byram with a lead at 6 under. There's Jay Powell on to pitch now for the Astros. Another Astros player who would like to redeem himself. A one-time World Series hero with the Florida Marlins just a couple of years ago. Brian Jordan. And there's that big home run cut. Jordan kind of shocked the Astrodome yesterday. Maybe even shocked his own manager, Bobby Cox. And I know you talked with him before the game. I think he shocked himself with that spectacular 3-run homer yesterday.
He was laughing at me because right before he hit it out, I said that the injury affected his power. He wasn't the power hitter he was earlier in the year.
Slow chop. He's got great speed. Bogart going to have to hurry. Here it is. He got it. And Bogart has had a perfect game. He's been hitting in the clutch, and he has made every play defensively out there.
And Jordan come up before the game hugging me, laughing at me. He said, "Son, I know you're just starting your broadcasting career." He said, "That's all my fault. I'm the one that told you I didn't have any power, and I didn't think I did." He said, "I got a hanging breaking ball. I dropped the head of the bat on it, and even I couldn't believe how far it went."
Jay Powell to Brian Hunter. And of course, baseball is a game that is filled with twists and turns. But Jay Powell yesterday gave up the game-winning hit to Brian Jordan, and he comes back a day later, and who's the first guy to face him? Brian Jordan.
Pitched him a little bit different that time, though, than he did the time that Jordan beat him. He threw him a fastball up and out over the plate with 2 strikes, and Jordan just went with it. That time he ran that hard sinking fastball in onto the sore hands of Jordan and got the easy out.
Slider for a strike to Brian Hunter. Andrew Jones on deck.
You got to have a lot of respect for Jay Powell, though, and his endurance, his willingness to pitch all the time. A lot of appearances back in '97 for Florida. 65 some appearances last year. He led the Houston Astros in games this year.
Brian Hunter walked in his only other appearance at the plate. That was in the 7th inning. He changed up on him for the strikeout. Now, Powell does have a splitter. I don't know if that was it, but whatever it was very effective. 2 down.
He needs to get one more out, and you know that Jeff Bagwell is coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning, but with a 2-run lead, somebody's going to have to get on base before him. The guy scheduled to hit is Stan Javier.
And that's a strike called to Andrew Jones, who is 1 for 4. Ken Caminetti, who began his career as an Astro here in the Dome back in the 80s, would be due up 4th if they can get somebody on base. The slider popped up. Biggio backpedaling. So Powell retires the side in order. Is it the last game in the Astrodome, or is it yet another story to tell to the grandchildren? We'll find out soon. 7, the Astros 5 into the last of the 9th inning at the Astrodome. Coming up right after the ball game on ESPN, the PGA, the Michelob Championship at Kings Mill, 3rd round coverage. At 5:30 Eastern on ESPN, the Senior PGA, the Transamerica from Napa, California, 2nd round action. Right now, John Rocker needs 3 outs more to clinch this series for Atlanta. Give them an extra day of rest moving into the League Championship Series against either the Mets or the Diamondbacks, who are still playing at Shea in the last of the 9th inning, tied there. The Astros would not mind coming out of this inning tied here. After being down by 7 runs, it is now 7-5. If it turns out that this is the final game for Major League Baseball at the Astrodome, the Astrodome will have seen its home team go down battling. But that may not be the story they want to tell the future generations about this game. If Javier can get aboard, the greatest power hitter the Astrodome has ever seen in an Astros uniform will get a chance to tie the game. Big at bat for Javier, and he is usually very adept at getting on base. He's a good bunter. He has a discerning eye at the plate. He'll take a walk. 2-0. And again, John Rocker, 2 real tough innings yesterday, and a tough out already in this one in the 8th inning, and he's got a ways to go yet.
Well, as usual, the key to scoring is that leadoff guy. There hadn't been an inning all day today that anybody has scored where the leadoff man did not get on. Javier gets on, it's going to get real loud here in the Dome. 27 pitches yesterday. Bobby Cox said, hey, often he throws more than that in 1 inning. But he didn't have to throw, or doesn't ordinarily have to throw as many tough pitches, because he inherited a bases loaded, nobody out situation with the game and maybe the series on the line in the 10th inning yesterday. He got out of it with considerable help from Walt Weiss. It is 2-1 to Javier. And 3-1. Innings on the year for Rocker, 104 strikeouts, only 47 hits allowed, but 37 base on balls, so almost as easy to walk off of him as it is to get a hit. I would imagine you're taking here.
He was, and it was in the strike zone. 3-2. Jeff Bagwell on deck. The man the Astros want to have up there, they could hardly ask for more. After being down by 7, and to get Bagwell up there with a chance to tie the game in the 9th inning. Let's see if that is possible. He came after him with a high, hard one, and Javier too close to take with 2 strikes.
Look at that pitch, 96 miles an hour. We talked about him throwing a couple of innings yesterday. I read an article earlier this year in ESPN magazine where Don Rocker said he knew that he threw hard in Little League because all of the parents of the other kids he played with told their kids not to play catch with him. They didn't want him to get hurt.
Javier fights off another heater, 97 miles an hour, fouled off to the right. Well, now, it's got to be fastball because he cannot, under any circumstances, afford to walk Javier. So he's got that great slider, which could be devastating in this spot. We've seen him devastate many hitters already. But I don't know, can he afford it?
I don't think so.
He walks him with the fastball. And Bagwell will get his shot.
Rocker knows who's coming up next. He can't be happy about that. And I tell you what, one swing of the bat right here by Jeff Bagwell, and this series all of a sudden could go to the Houston Astros. Maddox pitched yesterday, Millwood pitched yesterday, Rocker 2 days in a row. The Atlanta Braves may not have a whole lot left tomorrow in Atlanta if Houston can get there.
Bagwell, if you're an optimist, you'd say, man, Bagwell is due in the postseason. Man, came after him, and Bagwell just did get a piece of it. Bagwell has not driven in a run in this series. He has had 2 hits, 10 at-bats.
97-mile-an-hour fastball. Right down the middle. Just not quite able to get to it. Now what happens is you can't quite be as aggressive as Bagwell was in that first pitch. You've got to respect the breaking ball. Yesterday with the bases loaded, nobody out, 2-2 count on Carl Everett. Rocker went to that breaking ball, so you know he's got confidence in it.
0-1 to Bagwell, the possible tying run of the game. Wild pitch. Javier to second. Now that may change the dynamic a little bit for Bagwell. Now a base hit makes it a 1-run game, and Bagwell would be on base as the possible tying run with nobody out.
Bagwell would certainly take a base hit right here, but I don't think I've ever seen him take a swing as if that was what he was trying to do. It's almost like he's always trying to leave the ballpark. Isn't it?
He got the big fly stroke. He has had 1 hit in 1999 against John Rocker in 6 at-bats, including yesterday when he flied out to right. That 1 hit was a home run. A home run would tie this game. The slider. That's the one you were talking about, Rick. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a good one, too. You can see the pitch at 80 miles an hour. The bat swing at 82 miles an hour. That's why he's out in front of this breaking ball right here. Not only a good breaking ball, but a better location to go along with it.
Bagwell, 126 RBIs in the regular season, none in the postseason. He checked the swing. No, he didn't. Dana DeMuth made the call himself. And Bagwell stays to question that call, and DeMuth takes off the mask and glares at him.
Dana DeMuth said he didn't need any help on that. Going to take a look at it. Looks like he might have been just in front of home plate on that check.
All right, now let's get an update from Bill Pito.
All right, John, Mets and the D-backs, bottom 9, 2 out, winning run on second. The batter is Roger Cedeno against Matt Manti, and he grounds into the 4th. So we're headed to extra innings at Shea, 3-3 after 9 full.
Thank you, Bill. And the Astros would not mind hearing that same story repeated from this ballpark. We're heading to the 10th time. Carl Everett.
And they want to hear it from you.
I'm going to let Bill make that announcement if it happens. Slider for a strike to Carl Everett. Everett is another guy who would like some redemption. Everett was the first batter faced by Rocker in the 10th inning yesterday, and the bases loaded, nobody out jammed, and Everett swung at that slider, which was out of the strike zone. He swings at that slider too, and quickly he's behind 0-2. Everett is 0 for 3 today and was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning. The Rocker seems to turn it up a little bit. when the heat is really on. He gets somebody on base, and then he becomes unhittable. 0-2. Struck him out on 3 pitches. 2 down, and the last hope is the hottest hitter in the Astros lineup, who has already tied a National League postseason record in a 4-game series by driving in 8 runs, including 3 homers. The third one came in the 8th inning, a 3-run shot today.
And you know he can hit good pitching as well. There was a fastball from Kevin Millwood that he hit out of the ballpark in Game 2. Nobody else could do that.
8-16. Only Dusty Baker in 1977 for the Dodgers, Gary Matthews in 1983 with the Phillies, have ever driven in 8 runs in a 4-game postseason series in the history of Major League Baseball. And of course, Caminetti would like to see this one not be a 4-game series. He is the Astros' last hope. The slider, 1 ball, no strikes. Matt Niesky has come out on deck with Bill Spiers due next. Back to the screen. A big rip on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Houston Astrodome, which has seen a lot of sports history. Remember the epic college basketball struggle. Elvin Hayes up against Lou Alcindor, as he was then known. And the Houston club was able to end the UCLA winning streak that night before 50,000 people in this place. Slider low for a ball. As the flashbulbs go off all around the Astrodome, many of the fans wanting to record what could be the final moments in this ballpark. Muhammad Ali fought here. Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in tennis in this building.
Nolan Ryan's 5th no-hitter here.
In the dirt. 3-1. It seems as though they would rather risk having to face the go-ahead run than throw a hittable strike for the red-hot Caminetti. Deep center. Andrew Jones is there, and the ball game is over. The Atlanta Braves will have their own little final bit of Astrodome history as the Astrodome gets ready to shut its doors after 35 years of hosting Major League Baseball. The Atlanta Braves will do something that the Astros themselves were never able to do here. That is celebrate a postseason series win. The Astros' sad tale continues. They have never won a postseason series, and for the 2nd time in the last 3 years, the Atlanta Braves are celebrating here at the Astrodome. It was John Smoltz with a complete game masterpiece 2 years ago, and it is John Smoltz who gets the win today with considerable help from that man, Brian Jordan, who had an incredible series, and John Rocker, the big left-hander who got out of just a horrible jam yesterday and then came on today with another tough save, an inning and a third. John Rocker, the Braves' new closer, who certainly answered all of the questions this year about whether the Braves bullpen would be good enough. We all know the answer now.
Even with the count 3-1, Rocker going with the breaking ball. That's the respect that he had for Ken Caminetti. He knew the ball was hit well. He's just real thankful right now it was hit to dead center in the big, spacious Houston Astrodome.
And look at that reaction there. And a sigh of relief from John Rocker when he saw it fall into the glove of Andrew Jones. Everybody had a bad moment there when that one cracked off the bat of Caminetti. But perhaps in the final swing of the bat in the Astrodome, that Astrodome being notorious as a pitcher's ballpark worked in the Astros' disfavor. A drive hit deep to center that might have done something good for them in the postseason, but not in this one. And the Braves will head into the clubhouse for a celebration. But of course, it may be a bit subdued because this is not a ball club that considers this the victory they really have in mind. This is just one step along the way for the team of the 90s.
Well, right along with Brian Jordan for me is the job of John Smoltz. We talked about him being a big-time, big-game pitcher. He does it once again. He's 4-0 now in divisional series. He's 6-2 in the next step, which is the league championship series. 2-1 in World Series play, but a 2.25 ERA there as well. So he loves these situations. He proved it once again today. He put up 6 zeros the first 6 innings against Houston, and that was enough to hold on for the win.
We're going to give them 30 seconds to celebrate, all right?
So the Astros would need a few seconds to celebrate. That was the word from their public relations director down there, Jim Schultz. John Smoltz with his 12th postseason win. And as we go back, reflect for a moment, yesterday, it was Brian Jordan in the 6th inning. Maybe the only bad pitch made all day by Mike Hampton. Then with the game tied, it was Jordan again. A 2-run double with 2 down in the 12th inning. He drove in 5 runs in a 5-3 win. He wouldn't have had the chance to do that, though, were it not for this play in the 10th inning by Walt Weiss. A spectacular saving play. And then they went on to win an amazing game here at the Astrodome. And then today, it looked like they were in a laughing, a 7-0 lead back of John Smoltz. But the Houston Astros finally did find that offense. But finally at the end, it was Rocker again who shut them down. And now Tom Glavine starts the celebration in the clubhouse. John Smoltz getting doused in the background there.
These guys know how to do this stuff right here, don't they? They've had a lot of practice at it in the 90s.
Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach of the ball club that starts with that fabulous starting rotation. And there's Brian Jordan. 7 RBIs in a 4-game series for Brian Jordan. And Jeremy Schaap is down there with him. Jeremy?
Actually, I'm standing here right now with both Brian Jordan and John Smoltz. First of all, Brian Jordan, how much did it mean to you to be able to respond to the challenge in this series when the Astros made their strategy pitching around Chipper Jones?
I mean, I was up for the challenge, and I'm just glad things worked out for us. I'm glad Smokesy came out here and threw a great game for us, and we're victorious. It was a great team effort out there today and last night. I mean, well, yesterday, so I'm just so happy right now. I don't know what to say.
John, a great performance. You pitched a similar game 2 years ago here at the Astrodome. Did you feel as good as you did 2 years ago up until the home run by Cameron?
I did. You know, the first 2 innings were the key to the game, and you know, the offense provided us with some runs, and the layoff there a little bit hurt me, the 30 minutes in between pitching, but what can you say? All I can say is Rocker. I mean, Rockers was the difference, along with this guy.
John, dry yourself off. We'll be back here in a minute.
All right, Jeremy. John Smoltz, the first 2 innings were the key. As he got through it, the Astros left 5 men on base in the first 2 innings, and they left the bases loaded 4 times in these last 2 games. The last 2 games, as it turns out, in the history of the Houston Astrodome. John Miller for Rick Sutcliffe. The Braves are moving on. Golf is coming up next on ESPN.